This is Marshall's stone cutting shed in Brighouse. Previously, not a single piece of RPE was worn. But 5 years ago, difficulties in complying with the new exposure limit for respirable crystalline silica introduced in 2006 meant it became mandatory for all staff working in here to wear RPE.
Marshall set up the saw shed based on the previous exposure levels of 0.3 milligrams per cubic metre. But then there was a reduction down to 0.1 milligrams per cubic metre, and in real terms that's quite a big reduction in the exposure level.
Trying to reduce worker exposure is a problem faced by organisations of all kinds across the UK, and anyone tackling the problem can learn a lot from Marshall's experience over the last 5 years.
Lots of quarries have their own saw sheds with just a handful of saws. Marshall's, they have a lot of quarries in this area and rationalised things and brought all the saws into the same shed. Now that made a lot of sense for them, but it also created a big silica problem.
Marshall's first action to reduce worker exposure was to issue all staff with disposable masks, whilst they looked at ways to reduce the dust using engineering controls.
So the first instance we had to look at ways of suppressing the dust and the water that was created from the machinery that cuts the stone. We introduced some matting at the rear of each blade. We also introduced some brush stripping around the guard of the machine. We also introduced procedures where we slowed the blades down, because we found that driving the blade slower through the stone created less dust. And we also fixed matting like astroturf material onto the walls around the machine.
Marshall's also looked at installing ventilation extraction equipment, but encountered problems because of the wet environment. Unable to engineer out the dust problem completely, Marshall's looked to RPE for the solution. However, the disposable masks were not a success.
The disposable mask certainly wasn't suitable. There was okay short term, but extremely expensive and quite awkward to wear really.
When no management were around or when they were at the machine, they'd be wearing them on the head, on the chin. Because they wasn't comfortable, they didn't want to wear them, so they'd wear them anywhere apart from where they should be wearing them really.
Marshall sought an alternative range of masks and hoods and implemented a carefully planned RPE programme.
I think for the employees it was a lot easier for them to understand the need for why they would need safety boots or why they would need high-vis or other types of PPE, but when it comes to RPE it's not as obvious why they need to wear that, so it was important to communicate the health needs of why they needed to wear the equipment.
Marshall's organised a training event to introduce the RPE programme to the staff.
We had several sessions in the main meeting room here where we talked to the guys and we just explained to them the risks and the hazards of not wearing dust protection. And it took quite a lot of time to actually persuade them, but I think in the end, I think the guys were bought into actually wearing the dust mask. They realised that it was for their benefit. It wasn't just something that the management here were just trying to enforce on them. It was the right thing for them to do for their own health and safety.
First and foremost, it was important to get the buy-in from the employees, particularly the trade union, so we got them on board pretty quickly. Then we presented to the workforce the reasons why the union and the management were going to be implementing the RPE programme. We also brought in mask suppliers and the company that will be cleaning the masks as well, so they could find out all the different elements of the process.
We had face-fit measurement tests, so even though all the masks looked the same, they had actually different sizes for people. The tests have all been personally issued, and that is really how it was introduced.
We have the powered air system, which is here. It can either be on a backpack or a belt, and it's got a soft top. Okay, so if people didn't want anything feeling heavy on the head, that was quite a good option. We also had the same powered air system, but a bit like a hard hat. You can get it in a hard hat as well, for if you're working in a quarry, etc. But we had this one for the guys who, they've got it on all day. You can actually move the airflow on this so it was better for the guys, and they can just lift it up to talk rather than lift it fully off the face. And we've also got the welding helmet for the maintenance. So obviously the maintenance guys had two different head tops, and we also had the half mask, which obviously can only be worn when they're clean shaven. So we give the guys a choice of 2, just in case they came in one day and they hadn't had a shave. Everybody's different. Most people on this site prefer these, but on other sites they prefer these. It depends.
If staff were unhappy with any mask, they could change it.
Yeah, I think initially one of the masks I chose were wrong. I chose a soft top, but then we found out that for grinding it was no good. Plus it got very dirty, it was very difficult to clean, so very quickly realised that that was no good, that wasn't an option.
So we have a hard top mask and we have a half-face rubber mask. Them 2 masks are suitable for the different types of tasks that we do and also the different weather conditions. You know, the hard mask blows cold air down in front of your face. Well, in the cold weather, that can be quite chilly, really. But in the hot weather, nobody wants to wear the half-face mask tight to the face. So, different jobs and different conditions, we have a mask that's suitable.
There were many different reasons for an individual's choice of mask.
Don't like the airflow ones because they're too cold, because I've got no air.
I don't like the soft top because when you lifted it up, it didn't stay there. Whereas the hard top, you lift that up and it does stay there. A lot easier.
I prefer the half mask because the job I'm currently on, I have to jump in and out of the truck, and the backpack just gets in the way when you're driving.
Once staff had been issued with a mask, it became mandatory to wear it.
So the supervisor, the production managers, myself would go around the shed, make sure everybody was wearing the mask correctly, make sure the ones with the half mask was clean shaven, and we just kept going around to make sure they were wearing it correctly.
You'd see people with these sort of masks and you'd have them like that. With the airflow masks, no problem whatsoever because you just put them on and that's it. We had more problems with the half mask than anything else.
When a half mask fits correctly, the wearer has to force the air through the filter, which can make breathing feel laboured. Loose-fitting RPE is actually more suitable for long shifts, as there's less risk of workers not wearing them correctly.
If you're wearing a half mask, the classic mistake is that you'll come in and you've got too much stubble. You haven't, some people could not shave for a week and it'd be fine, but others have to shave every day. So we'd have some problems with shaving at first.
I find the half mask a lot better than when the hood one is, but I don't always come to work clean shaven, so I wear the hood one when I'm not clean shaven.
I have to confess I was a little bit lazy. I did like the old designer stubble. So having to shave every day did become a bit of a nuisance. But over a period of time, it came just a daily routine.
We had a choice of a full face mask such as this, or the half mask, if you're clean shaven, which you can see doesn't happen very often.
Supervisors are responsible for monitoring staff to ensure that RPE is being worn correctly.
We didn't say from day one, we won't go in round and if you didn't have your mask on correctly, we won't go in right, you've got a warning. And this, that, over. We give them a couple of weeks to get used to wearing the mask.
If anybody's not wearing it correctly or not wearing it at all, what we'll do on the first occasion, we'll just have a sit-down discussion, make a note of that, and then we've got the disciplinary procedures in place to take it further if we need to, but we haven't had to.
I can safely say we've not had to carry out any disciplinary action with any of the guys. Maybe in the first few days people forgot to put their masks on as they walked into the workplace, but a gentle word by the supervisors made sure that didn't happen again. So yes, the disciplinary procedures are there, but I think if you do the process of training and educating and working with the workforce, then you shouldn't have to resort to disciplinary action with anybody.
Supervisors also monitor that staff are storing and maintaining their RPE correctly.
So on a daily basis, we ask them to clean their mask out, whether it's the half mask or the powered air system, clean them out with an antibacterial wipe to make sure that your day-to-day you're wearing a clean mask, because they can get, in our industry again, they can get very dirty, and to check that the airflow is correct and that it's working correctly as you put them on.
In addition, every mask needs at least monthly maintenance, and marshals have opted to subcontract this out.
we've made a room especially just for the masks so that literally the guys can drop the dirty mask off. They've got their own pigeonhole, take the clean one out, put it on, and that's it. Is everything all right with your kit?
Yeah, it's fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And they just swap them over. They've got a clean mask every month, and the dirty ones go away until next month.
Every month, the maintenance company supply marshals with detailed RPE maintenance records of any repairs, modifications or replacements. Marshals have put time, effort and money into their RPE programme.
The capital investment for the entire workforce within the Natural Stone division here was around about £30,000, and the ongoing maintenance and servicing of the equipment is probably another £15,000. But for me, that's a small price to pay to ensure the health of the workforce. And compared to some of the other health and safety initiatives that we've done over the years with regard to guarding of saws and equipment, then it's not out of proportion with those areas. It's just another part of the health and safety journey and process that we as a responsible company have to go through.
I think marshals acted immediately. As soon as we knew there was a problem, we had dust monitoring in, realised that we was breaching the legal limits, and so we did act quickly to get people in masks to make sure they were safe. I don't think wearing masks all the time is the answer. I'm hoping as we move forward, the company are constantly looking at new ways to monitor the dust within the shed, that one day we don't have to wear the masks.
For any company, regardless of size, RPE should be the last resort for reducing worker exposure. But if RPE is necessary, there are some basic steps that, if followed with care, can ensure that the financial investment made into RPE is actually worthwhile. Justify its use. Look at the alternatives. Consult your staff. Select the right masks. If unsure, ask your supplier. Provide staff with a mask that's adequate for the hazard and suitable for them. Where possible, provide a choice and fit test any tight-fitting masks. Train staff regularly, including how to use and check masks. Supervise and monitor staff. Maintain masks on a regular basis and keep records. Store the masks correctly. The mask can become contaminated or damaged if not stored properly. Regularly review policy, training, face fit, mask choice. For marshals, the key success factors are:
talk to the staff as much as you can, explain to them about the potential hazards within the workplace, and make sure that they understand that it is for their benefit. Don't rush through the process. It took us 6 to 12 months to talk to the guys, to explain to them the issue, and then to look at, identify and trial the right equipment. So don't rush it. Do it gradually, but do it thoroughly.
First of all, the most important thing, if you've got a trade union, it's to get their buy-in. So when you're going to present anything to the workforce, it's best to have a joint stance. Also, it's important to choose the correct PPE that's suitable for the application. And possibly you might have to give workers a different choice of RPE. You might have to run 2 or 3 different types at one go to make sure you cater for everybody's needs. Also, what's important is that you don't give too many choices, because it will become difficult to maintain.
I think the way we went about introducing our RPE is a very good way. Getting the correct companies in to help us, because you need help from the outside. Give the guys some choice. Just get everybody involved and make sure that you don't just hand them over and say that's what you need. They've got to understand why they've got to use it, what types they can use, and make sure that they're comfortable, really.